In 2009, Malaysia created a fund to make the country richer. 10 years later, billions of dollars had vanished. Someone bought a $250 million yacht, Picasso paintings, mansions in Beverly Hills, even a Hollywood movie starring Leonardo DiCaprio. And somehow, almost nobody noticed. This is the story of the man who may have stolen an entire country. In 2009, Malaysia faced a quiet fiscal squeeze. Oil and gas exports historically generated 40% of government revenue, but the global financial crisis of 2008 caused energy markets to fluctuate, exposing a structural vulnerability. To find new sources of growth, the federal government took over a state-level fund, the Terengganu Investment Authority, rebranding it in July 2009 as One Malaysia Development Berhad, or 1MDB. Its official mission was to borrow capital on global markets to finance strategic national development. On paper, three distinct tiers of oversight protected these public funds: day-to-day managers, a board of directors, and a board of advisors. In reality, decision-making was concentrated in a single office. Najib Razak served simultaneously as Prime Minister, Finance Minister, and Chairman of the 1MDB Board of Advisors. The vulnerability of this design became apparent within 2 months. In September 2009, 1MDB agreed to a joint venture with Petro Saudi Holdings, committing $1 billion in cash. Behind the scenes, the joint venture entity was incorporated 8 days before 1MDB's board formally authorized the transaction. No independent asset valuation was completed in time, and senior management faced intense pressure to transfer the money within 48 hours. Despite oversight safeguards that looked strong on paper, hundreds of millions of dollars began moving to offshore companies almost immediately. The man investigators identify as the de facto strategist behind these capital flows held no official title at 1MDB. Born in Penang, Malaysia, on November 4, 1981, Low Taik Jho, widely known as Jho Low, grew up in a wealthy family. In the late 1990s, he attended Britain's elite Harrow School, where he befriended Riza Aziz, the stepson of future Prime Minister Najib Razak. Low later attended the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, building relationships with prominent Gulf region royal and financial circles. In their investigative reporting, journalists Bradley Hope and Tom Wright chronicle how Low converted this social access into a powerful network of introductions. Though he possessed no board seat, executive post, or formal employment contract, U.S. Department of Justice filings allege Low acted as the central architect of the fraud, arranging deals, influencing decisions, and directing funds. He operated through informal power, a system where the person shaping a transaction is not the one who signs the official documents. Through beneficial ownership, Low allegedly controlled assets while keeping his name off the paperwork, relying on the calculation that complex, cross-border transfers would prevent rapid detection. Low denies all wrongdoing, with his representatives maintaining that he was merely a business intermediary. In September 2009, 1MDB entered into a joint venture with Petro Saudi, a deal that became the template for subsequent transactions. This financial mechanism did not follow a single path, but prosecutors mapped a composite route to show how money allegedly traveled. The chain began in Malaysia, moved through 1MDB, passed to entities acting as fake investment operations, entered Swiss banks, flowed through Singapore, routed to the Cayman Islands, landed in private accounts, and ultimately funded luxury purchases. During the initial Petro-Saudi deal, investigators allege that $1.83 billion was diverted to Goodstar Limited, a shell company registered in the Seychelles. A shell company exists only on paper, with no physical office or employees used to hold assets. To move the money, planners relied on cross-border wires, electronic transfers between countries, and correspondent banks, which are large institutions that process international transactions on behalf of smaller banks. In 2012 and 2013, the scheme expanded when Goldman Sachs arranged 3 bond sales, raising $6.5 billion. To obscure these funds, planners used a technique known as layering, sending money through a complex web of transactions to hide its origin. They routed cash through entities linked to Abu Dhabi's ABAR, Cayman-registered funds, and an account named Tanore, often using corporate names that closely resembled legitimate institutions. This strategy allowed planners to separate the paper owners of these accounts from the actual beneficiaries. While bank records showed transactions between corporations, the money allegedly flowed toward private accounts controlled by Low and his associates, masking the fund's true destination without hiding the transactions themselves. The capital raised to fund Malaysia's public projects instead funded an unprecedented global shopping spree. According to U.S. investigators, these diverted funds purchased the Equanimity, a 300-foot superyacht equipped with a swimming pool and helipad, originally valued at $250 million, which Indonesian authorities seized in 2018. The trail also led to a private jet, New York penthouses, Beverly Hills mansions, a boutique hotel, and properties in London's Mayfair. The acquisitions extended to fine art, including a Jean-Michel Basquiat drawing and works associated with Picasso and Monet. Investigators estimate that over $500 million went toward diamond jewelry, watches, and high-end collectibles. To establish his status as a global dealmaker, Low hosted extravagant parties, socializing with Hollywood actors and models. This entertainment network directly intersected with the film industry. Low's childhood friend Riza Aziz co-founded Red Granite Pictures, which produced the 2013 movie The Wolf of Wall Street. Court records show that Red Granite received over $100 million from an Abu Dhabi-linked shell company, Abar BVI, which prosecutors traced back to siphoned 1 MDB funds. Red Granite later paid a $60 million settlement to the U.S. government without admitting criminal guilt or liability, while Low's representatives maintain that all his business transactions were legitimate. At the end of 2014, internal records from PetroSaudi slipped out of private servers. Xavier Justo, a former executive at the firm, transferred a 90-gigabyte archive containing 227,000 emails and documents to journalist Claire Rucastle-Brown. In early 2015, her outlet, Sarawak Report, alongside Malaysian newspaper The Edge, began publishing the records. This raw leak was only the starting point. To build a credible case, journalists and financial regulators compared these emails with bank transfers, corporate registries, and public filings. The trail quickly spread to authorities in Switzerland, Singapore, Luxembourg, and the United States. By July 2016, the U.S. Department of Justice launched civil asset forfeiture proceedings to seize more than $1 billion in assets, marking one of the largest such actions in its history. Legally, a leak is not proof. It is the raw material that, once corroborated, builds a civil complaint and, ultimately, criminal convictions. In 2018, public anger over the missing billions drove Malaysia's long-ruling government from power. 2 years later, a court convicted former Prime Minister Najib Razak in the related SRC international case, handing down a 12-year sentence that was halved in 2024. The hunt for the money yielded mixed results. Of the estimated $4.5 billion siphoned, recovered assets returned to Malaysia exceed $1 billion. The superyacht Equanimity was sold in 2019 to Genting, Malaysia for $126 million. Global regulators targeted the gatekeepers. Goldman Sachs agreed to a $2.9 billion global settlement in 2020, while Singapore authorities shut down BSY and Falcon Private Bank and penalized Credit Suisse, UOB, and DBS. Legally, these bank penalties established compliance failures rather than direct participation in the theft. The suspected mastermind remains out of reach. Jho Low faces an Interpol red notice, with unverified reports placing him in China or Macau. Through his representatives, Low continues to deny all wrongdoing. Today, the systemic loopholes that enabled the 1MDB scandal remain largely open. As global finance prioritizes speed over scrutiny, the next shadow network is already quietly at work. The true legacy of this crisis isn't just stolen billions, it's the enduring fragility of public trust.